What's going on, campers? Chopsy Doodle here today with my very first deck build. At least the first one I'm going to be putting it out anyway. This deck I have dubbed Freshly Baked Cookies. And the reason for that is it's Corallium Quartz. I'm going to go through the deck list here real quick on cryptidcamp.cards, the deck builder. You can find it there. But we're gonna start off with our Kieran commander, and I'll go on to explain why that is. But basically, you're gonna have 5 of each lantern, 3 of each trail, and for the main deck, for our quartz, we're going with 4 Hansel Gretel, 4 Ophanim, yep. 3 Sweet Tooth Witches, and that's it for our cryptids from Quartz. For Corallium, we're going with a Unicorn, Explosive Rabbit, Headless Mule, Muscaliot, Piazza Bird, Will-O-Wisp, Devon Devils. Swap is optional, and I'll talk about that. We're going with 3 Hunters and 3 Igniting Campfires, 1 Wish-Fulfilling Jewel, 1 Quartz Paintbrush, 1 Quartz Cabin, 1 Corallium Cabin, 1 Corallium Staff, 2 Mantra of Peace, 2 Syllable of Fire, and 3 Heat and Rain. And of course on here you can export these decks, and they can be put directly into the why can't I think right now? TTS, Tabletop Sim. I was going to say text-to-speech, but that's not right. Alright, so what we're going to do now, though, is we're going to go over a visual of the deck. So let me pull that up for you guys. Alright. So, starting off here, what is the vision of this deck? What is the purpose of this deck? Well, this purpose of the deck is going to be aggro. So, if you're not familiar with what aggro means in a TCG, it basically means get things on the board for cheap and just continue to pound your opponent before they can get a hold of their game plan and take you out. You basically, it's all about speed. It's all about trying to get as many evidence as quickly as possible and as many bodies on the board as possible to get that evidence. Now, Corallium is very weak defensively because a lot of its things either have low defense or a lot of its bonuses will minus defense from its own cryptids. For example, Piazza Bird gives Corallium cryptids +3 attack but -6 defense. Now to counteract that, I'm pairing it with Quartz because Quartz is fairly defensive. Plus Quartz, in my opinion, like it's got the Ophanim, which is the only 0 cost cryptid right now, so that kind of helps with the rush of the Corallium deck to try and get as many EVs as possible. If you can get a couple of those down on the first turn, then you're kind of laughing. And to pair with that, not to pair with them, but additional defense here, we have Hansel and Gretel and Sweet Tooth Witch. Just nice, cheap defenders to place down, and if you end up getting the combo of the Sweet Tooth and the Hansel and Gretel, you can maybe go on the offensive. But you're getting a 1 cost 5 defense, which is really nice. You can always use this to defend your back row from swimmers, and if you need to, move them up front to attack, or whatever. I just think it's nice that you can keep them. You can put them in attack mode and use their defense stats. So you get a 1 cost 5/5 essentially if you have a Sweet Tooth Witch on the board. Now to further that, one of the big reasons why I think this is going to work well is because, as far as right now, the Kieran, unless we hear otherwise. Yes, the allied Quartz cryptids have +4 defense and are immune to thing, but their second ability, when an allied cryptid explores, you may have its stats become equal to this cryptid's base stats until expiration ends. Now that's not contingent on being a Quartz cryptid. So that means that if you attack with a Corallium cryptid, you should get the stats as well. So now anytime I attack with, say, the Unicorn or a Will-O-Wisp or a Headless Horse, for example, it will get the base stats of the Kieran for the attack, and then any bonuses that are applied after that, so any patches. So for example, the Headless Mule, I believe that this is how it works, but when this cryptid moves, it gains +2 attack until the end of day. So theoretically, if you were to attack then its stat and have the Kieran down, then its stats should become 13/7 and then get an additional 2 attack on top of that, as long as you have heat active. But we're going to go through the deck real quick. So obviously you have your Ophinum is early drops, and then you've got your Muscaliots for retrieving your heat, your weather card basically, which is down here. And then you have Explosive Rabbits, which are really nice early game aggro, as well as they do a decent amount of damage back. Like they can kill or they can destroy an up to a 6 health Cryptid if they're being attacked in attack mode, which I think is really cool. Because yeah, you're leaving them up for attack and your opponent can get EV, but they're basically risking a higher cost Cryptid to get rid of this. Now, these 2 cards are really good. Will-O-Wisp especially, dealing 4 damage to your opponent is just a damage is just great. As far as I understand, damage must be dealt to a Cryptid in order for them to die. So this can actually kill something or destroy something if it has less than 4. And it also kind of lingers on the target. So from what I've been explained, when you deal the 4 damage, it gives you a time frame of 1 more, either till the end of the day, the damage floats on the creature, or until your next adventure action or your next exploration action. So you need to be able to take advantage of the 4 damage immediately after you use it, so keep that in mind. But as soon as you deal 4 damage to a Cryptid, it stays on them. You can attack them with something else, and that 4 health is already essentially gone. So it'll help you destroy things or kill things completely outright. Now, the Corallium Unicorn is actually a big part of this deck, and it's cool because it works really well in tandem with the Kirin, and they're both unicorns, which is nice. But if this Cryptid defeats a defense mode rival Cryptid, gain 1 EV. If this Cryptid is defeated, generate 1 Corallium. Now, the second part's not the greatest, don't really need that for anything, but if this Cryptid defeats a defense mode rival Cryptid, gain 1 EV. That paired with the Kirin, I think, is going to be just absolutely huge. And another thing about this deck is everything is cheap. When you're running an aggro deck, you need everything to be cheap. That's why my highest cost is obviously the 5 cost stuff, but my highest cost besides that is 3. I didn't want to put any 4 cost things in here or anything like that. We have campfires because they're very good for forcing your opponent to go into attack mode, which is very, very useful. You can get a lot more evidence that way by forcing their Cryptid to take the death in attack mode, and thus they don't get to block out your EV gathering. Hunter is also a good card. You basically force one of your Cryptids to fight something else. So if you got really strong stuff, you can just wipe your opponent's board, and it's choose an allied Cryptid and have it battle another Cryptid of your choice, which means that you can put things in the back row and use Hunter in order to fight back row things. I did not put any Quartz spells in because as of right now I don't really think there's any that are worthwhile. I did take the Quartz traps, the mantras, because they can prevent evidence from being taken from a spot, which is really nice. The Quartz cabin I put in specifically to defend the Kirin. So you want to play this on a back row town and then have your Kirin on that, and it makes it really hard to remove your Kirin. Other than that, you're obviously going to have a wish-fulfilling jewel. Every deck should have that. You're going to have your staffs just for mana ramp. Now here's the swap. I actually kind of accidentally put this in, but it's kind of an optional spot. So you can have either a swap, or you can add in a 3rd Hunter, or a 3rd Igniting Campfire, or maybe even just a 3rd Explosive Rabbit. Or another option would be one of the campfires. Most likely the Elemental Campfire, because you're going to be having your Kirin as your partner, and you're going to have the Piazza Bird as a playable. So if you want, you can, instead of swap, you can have elemental campfire, and that way you might be able to play your Piazza Bird on turn 4. But other than that, you're going to have your 5 lanterns. There's no dual lanterns for this, unfortunately. So you're going to have your 5 lanterns, and you're going to have your 3 weather. That's another option you can do if you want. You can take the swap out for an additional weather. But I kind of like the option of having the swap in there. You never know when you're going to need it. And 3 of each, in my opinion right now, is pretty good. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. This is a hyper aggressive deck, and I think it could work. I want to try it against somebody, so hopefully I can get a game in soon, and if I do, I will let you guys know how it goes. But yeah, I'm getting super excited for this, starting to actually build decks and stuff, and hopefully I can get a few more done in the next couple of days. I'm going to try and make a lot more Cryptid Camp videos as soon, but a lot's been going on, so now that a little bit has weaned off my plate, I should be able to do a little bit more. But thank you guys for supporting me. Thank you guys for watching the videos, for leaving comments, for subscribing, for liking. I appreciate all of that. I have started doing a little bit of gaming too. So if you guys want to check out my gaming videos, I would much appreciate that. But other than that, yeah, this might be the first Corallium Quartz deck. I'm not sure, but if it is, then dope. But thank you all again, and I will catch you guys next time. Chopsy Doodle, signing out. Peace.